just can't stop, won't stop hustling. But I just
Power Book 2, Ghost, Season 2, Episode 2, titled Selfless Acts. We got to get into it. Listen, I didn't mention this. I didn't mention this on my last review, but how good was it to hear the OG theme song once more? You know, because we didn't get it on Raising Canaan. They had a new theme song, which I was happy for because I'm like, all right, they need to switch it up. But when you hear that, this is a big rich town. I'm like, oh, this that shit bring back nostalgia, don't it? Uh, so yeah, I liked it that. So listen, this episode, y'all know how I felt about the last episode. I thought it was okay, but it was the first episode. You can't, they reintroducing us to characters, they introducing new characters. So I wasn't really too upset about it. But it starts off with Tariq having one of his his bad dreams again. He's conflicted. It's part of that PTSD I was saying he had, but he's conflicted between if he should go and throw the phone out that has his mom on there because that he would have no link to her whatsoever again. So he's kind of like in the same place where he killed Ghost at, and he's like, "Mom, mom," and you see 50 Cent talking to him like, "You gotta do that shit." Yo, 50 Cent funny as hell too. Man, throw that shit away, man. You don't need her, man. Do that shit. I'm like, yo, this dude is hilarious. So anyway, he wakes up. He winds up trying to like just looking at the phone, seeing if he was about to delete it. But right as this happened, he gets a knock on the door, and it's two police officers, and I'm like, oh man, they done found out he done killed dude. But they were coming to get him. They told him he had to go somewhere. They rush, and they rush him off. So we like, oh, I don't know. We all assume it's for the killing of the teacher. Next, we cut the Kane and that goofy ass dude, little Guapio we be with or whatever his name is. They coming out the store, and this dude is like a drug dealer, and he documenting on Instagram everything he do. It's like, yo, like, is this real dumb as criminals or something? And Kane even looking at him like, yo, why you gotta record everything we do? I'm like, well, because he probably don't want to get killed by you, man. But then we switch over to Tate and uh talking to I forget the old guy's name on this. I forget. The rich dude though, but he's talking to him and he's telling Tate that he wants him to fill in the role of Jabari in the ethics class with old girl. And Tate is kind of opposed to it at first, and he's trying to come through with his own agenda. But he's telling him, "Listen, you gotta listen. I want you to do this because I want you to keep an eye on things, and it will look good for you and me." Blah blah blah. And he tells him Miss Ingram is there, and once he sees that, he's not reluctant to do it. So he's like, "All right, I'll do it." And I feel like, listen, they just wanted something for him to do. His character, I said this last episode, there's really no reason for Lorenz Tate to be in this season. But I get it. They're trying to set up a spinoff for him. Didn't happen how it's supposed to. So this is probably just a lead up. So they got to do what they got to do. We see Tariq goes to the police station. Raina, not Raina. What's the little girl? Is it Raina? I forget the little girl's name. I'm sorry. But a sister, she is getting taken. The grandma got into a DUI or DWI, and they decided they're going to take her. So she's sitting there, and Sack's little slimy ass comes in, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about this. Your grandma was driving and while intoxicated, and she crashed and hit a parked car." I'm like, "Damn, grandma, it's crazy." So Tariq goes in there and talks to her, and she's kind of pretty much explaining, like, "Listen, I'm tired of this. I've been, I had to deal with the death of your sister, and then I had to deal with the death of your father, and then I had to deal with your mom going to jail, and now I got to raise a child on my own, and I'm 62 years old." So I feel where she coming from. Like, she tired. She done did her fair share, and she's been going through the trauma just like Tariq has been going through. You got to say that. You got to understand that as well. So I get it. She old as hell. She just want to relax, kick back, and be a grandma. But Tasha been putting her through all these portals and these jump holes. But listen, I feel like, why didn't Tasha just take her baby with her? Like, I know you're in witness protection. You can take kids with you. Why didn't she just take her daughter? But anyway, she's they figure they tell Tariq that they're taking her to foster care, and he's obviously objecting to it, and it's just a sad moment because I know that feeling before. I had a brother that went through that, and he's constantly, oh man, I don't know, it just brought back bad feelings, man. So, but now this is a new task for him to complete because he has to get his sister out of foster care. So he has to do the best thing he can do. I don't know really what he's gonna do because he lives on campus. So I really don't know, man. I honestly don't know how we gonna try to work this out. I remember seeing this one movie on Disney that I still want to watch about the football player. It's a true story. That had to take had his brother living on college campus with him, because he got some having at home. So he had to like his brother living on the campus with him. I forget the name of the movie, but I want to watch it. We see Kane meeting with the new plug, crazy Latino guy. He's trying to get back right with him, and he's kind of pleading his case. Like, listen, you need to give me a shot, please. You know what I mean? Like, give me, I could do this, blah da da. And the guy just doesn't trust Kane. That's just what it is. They're trying to come to an understanding where they could trust. And unbeknownst to his last episode, we didn't know if he knew who Kane was or if he knew his history. But then come to find out this episode, not only does he know Kane, but he used to pop Monet. Like, this whole episode we kept seeing can you stand? Or I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, why is they playing New Edition? We can't stand it. And Monet was just gone. Like, I'm like, oh, and it's crazy because I was telling somebody, I was like, yo, I would love for Monet and him to meet each other because they kind of alike, they got that savagery. But then come to find out, he was pop. They was like love interests. They was like in love with each other back in the day. So this gonna be interesting to see them get back together because I like dude. I like the character of him. He's a savage. He just seemed like a no nonsense type of guy, and I don't really blame him for having his guard up. At the end of the day, he could be a cop though because he came out of nowhere and he got work and product, so he could be a cop. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Uh, Anyway, we seen Kane talking to him, and he's giving Kane a gun and telling him, "Listen, yeah, I want you to run for me." And then little Guap walks in, and I'm like, "Yo, how the fuck did he get in the house?" First of all, how you like so far, whatever that you ain't got security? Somebody can just walk in your house, and why would little Guap? Uh, why would he follow him anyway and then just think he could walk in the house? And not only that, he got his phone out. And listen, little Guap had my man mentioned it in the comments. Little Guap had the raw coat on, and same thing this episode. I'm like, yo, the wardrobe in this cast is fire. But anyway, he walks up there. He tells the chef to put on the headphones, and he just started breaking fingers like crack, crack. I'm like, that's what the hell you get. And I'm wondering, like, yo, how the fuck do Lil Guapo keep making it unscathed? He should have been dead probably like 10 episodes ago. But he keep going, and then all of a sudden he loses his trust between dude again because of this idiot. And I'm like, Kane, why you hanging with this retard? And I feel like they toned Kane down a little bit this season too. They trying to make him more smart. They trying to make him more brains versus brawn. But we'll see how that works out. We see Tariq talking to old boy trying to get his sister out of Redman's character. I mean Method Man's character. I'm saying old boy. I'm sorry. He's talking to the lawyer trying to get his sister out of jail. And he's wondering why he's working with Sax. He's saying you can't trust Sax. And Method Man's like, listen, you can't trust none of us. We're all the same. We're lawyers. And then Sax walks in and he's talking to him. And blah blah blah, just a bunch of nonsense. No, I mean it wasn't nonsense. It was just him about trying to get his sister back and whatever. Anyway, we see Tate talking to the teacher, and she just giving him the cold shoulder. He trying to put the charm on, like yeah, and she like, oh, they got another highest seen black guy to fill the role. Wow, I can't believe that. And she just dismissing them. She got a lot on her plate right now too, so she ain't really worried about it. And listen, how is she the murder suspect, the main suspect of Jabari, when it just don't make sense. It's all because the white dude used to pop her and he feels some type of way now. And I'm like, that's so lame. Super lame. Super lame. And I was mad at the end when she gave up Zeke too, because I'm like, why does she do that? She should have kept her damn mouth closed. And listen, an alibi is an alibi. All you need to do is check the surveillance or what's in the camera. I don't have to give you this information. And speaking of this white cop, he goes to her sponsor's house and he's trying to get information from her. And he's lying to her like, oh, under such and such, I could do this if you don't tell me information. And her dumb ass falling for it. So we don't see exactly what she tells him, but we know she did tell him something. We see Zeke at a press conference announcing that he's going pro next season, and they trying to fill them with questions, and Monet's telling them like, "Listen, you got to make sure you're ready for this. I'm in charge of everything. Like, don't be out here with no floozies. Did you?" And pretty much checking him like, "Yo, make sure you ain't fucking that teacher no more." And she putting it on Zeke, and Zeke just got that goofy ass face he always got on. We see Braden yelling at his father because he don't want to be a Kappa. He wants to be Tommy from Power. So he's slowly but surely making his transition into Tommy from Power. Tariq bestows some trust into him and wants him to make a delivery to Effie. And Braden's happy to do so because listen, he like being down with the get down. You know what I'm saying? That's just how he is. That's how he is. We see Monet talking to Diana. She's trying to get back in college, or she not get back in college. She wants to go to college, and I'm thinking like, yo, what do this girl do? This is she not in high school? I thought she was in high school originally. She not in high school. She out of school. So what the fuck? They just really run a business. I thought they went to some kind of schooling. I guess that's not true. Uh, so yeah. While they're at the bar, we see Monet. That's when dude pulls up with the new edition. Can you stand the rain? And she's jonesing out the window. And Diana like, yo, I ain't take you to like such and such. And listen, Monet was a lot better this episode than she was that first episode. Because the last episode, I was like, damn, she being an asshole to fucking her daughter. But she was still coming down on her somewhat a little bit. But I like how Diana just listened to her. She not disrespectful. She just listened to her mom. She's a good girl. But she was saying like, yo, you can't trust dudes and blah blah blah. The typical black female I'm hurt speech. We see Tate and the teacher in the ethics class together, and they're trying to do their thing. And I was just like, yo, they really ain't had nothing for Lorenz Tate the character to do. Uh, and he's just introducing, and he's just bouncing off of each other, blah blah blah. Wasn't really watching that scene. I'm gonna be honest. It just didn't make really. I don't really didn't care about it. Anyway, we see Drew and Zeke together in the gym. Zeke is trying to rehabilitate. Did I say that right? Anyway, he's trying to help Drew with his arm, get his arm back together, and then they wind up having a talk, and he was telling him how Monet pretty much wants them to follow him wherever he goes, and he's the scapegoat and the catalyst for whatever the hell they doing. Right then and there, we see an agent comes in and starts talking to Zeke. You see Zeke is visibly upset about something. We also see Tariq talking to Tate about something, and he's just telling him to watch out for what he needs to watch out for. Right as he's saying that, when the officer comes in and takes Tariq into the office to question him about what's going on and his whereabouts, and Tariq just giving him the cold shoulder. Tariq's a smart guy. But listen, I really don't like this cop, man. I really don't. He's just like a scorned lover. He really is. Um, but he's trying to get down to the bottom. And listen, we all know that the reason they're at the camp is because they got a signal from Tariq's phone from last episode. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. If I'm not mistaken, in that scene, he alludes to that the teacher might be a suspect in the shooting. And that gives Tariq idea to plant the phone in there. Next scene, we see Effie in the college. She's getting it on with another. And I'm like, yo, why every show got the same thing? Sex scene, some verbiage, action, sex scene, and it's just like everybody gay in these scenes. Like, when did they allude that Effie like girls? Like, Tyreek make it turn the hill that bad. And listen, I hate the fact that Tyreek always about to get some, and then his phone ring. Did y'all realize that every scene he got? How many girls he got? Effie. He got the Lauren girl. He got Diana. Or somebody else, if I'm not mistaken. But he got 3 joints, 3 Codys, and every time he about to pop them or something happens. I'm like, yo, but listen, he be focused. He be like, listen, man, I gotta focus on my shit before I could. He think with his brain. He don't think with his other brain. But anyway, we see Drewski come by. drop off the product, and he's funny as hell. Like, hey, if y'all need a, you know what I mean? Right then and there, she calls him. Effie calls him and tell him, yo, you got to get back right now. There's some bunk, yada yada yada. He turns back around. We see Kane talking to Tariq. He's trying to figure out what's going on with the murder because he don't want it to come back to him. And I'm like, yo, since when has Kane cared about who he killed? He done killed numerous people. Why does he care about this one? I guess because it's a high profile case. But I'm like, just shut up if he not saying nothing to you. We get another useless sex scene between Sax and um the girl from the opposing side, prosecutor, who is trying to, obviously they're not supposed to be doing that. It's a conflict of interest. But anyway, she's telling Sachs that the lead suspect is the teacher, and another name came up in a case, and it was Tariq. And Sachs is like, oh man, listen. One person that knows the savagery of Tariq is definitely Sachs. He knows Tariq is a sociopathic, cold, heartless killer. Like he knows this about Tariq, and he just like he know that whole family. Listen, you remember Tommy and Ghost busted him in his apartment that one time, and I was like, yeah, finally. And he always seems to just skate away. But anyway, um, we see that Effie and Drew get in a fight, but before that, Drew calls Tariq and was like, "Yo, Tariq, you got to come up here. We got a problem." And so Tariq obviously don't drive. And I said this last episode, yo, why doesn't Tariq have a car? I feel like he should have a car. He should be able to go into his trust fund and get a car. But I don't know. He just don't like driving. And I'm like, yo, this dude walks everywhere. Like he literally walks everywhere. We see Braden pull back up, and we see Effie arguing with one of her customers, and I believe it was her dad or her uncle standing there. So it was like this big ass fight scene, this brawl, and Effie giving it to the girl. Shit, she trying to act tough. Effie like, yo, what the hell you gonna do? Braden trying to break it up. She like, yo, get off of me. Effie just started downing her. Bop, 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 bop. Like, no, this dude comes over, grabs Braden, and I'm like, oh, Braden about to work him. And then he started working Braden, like pounding him, pounding him. And Braden was just like, fuck this. That fucking schoolboy strength came out like, got on top of me. He started pounding him too. But Effie from the get-go was like, yo, she about that shit. She was like, she said, what you gonna do? You can't beat my ass. I'm like, yeah, Effie, yeah. Effie gangster. Next, we see Effie laying her edges. We see Braden laying in the bed. He's like, oh, man, that better be fucking Tariq. Tariq knocks on the door with Diana. And listen, the first thing she does is get defensive. Who is this? This your girlfriend? He's like, no, it ain't like that. Diana like, I'm like, man, Tariq got them all after him, man. Listen, I don't know. Right now, to me, Diana got it, man. If I had to choose between the three of them, between Effie, and I used to be Team Effie, but she be on some other shit too much. Diana is just, I don't know. I would go with Diana right now. But anyway, they just talking about the product and what happened to it, and they about to fight. And then Tyreek like, yo, chill the fuck out. I'm like, yo, Tyreek is in a love triangle, like three of them. Brandon get his fucking head all cracked in and beat up and shit. And shit is just crazy, man. But they trying to figure out how this fake product. And I'm like, yo, how they get bunked for some product? Diana sneaks back home. She tells Monet exactly what's happening. And she's like, oh, it had to be old boy I killed. You know what I mean? But come to find out, it wasn't. So she was they was like, yo, where you been at? But she came in the house and she was like, yo, we got a problem. And I like the fact that Diana taking the necessary steps to ensure that business is good. But we see Monet tasting and she like, ha ha. And she laughed about it, like, I'm glad I killed his ass. That was cold. She said, you know what? I'm glad I killed his ass. Oh, he got over on me. You know what I'm saying? And her and Drew look at each other like, was that normal? Like, that wasn't normal. We see a scene where Drew is reminiscing over old boy. Like, listen, he don't want your ass, nigga. Get off his Instagram. Then we see Kane pull up on him, talking to him. And they have a little heart to heart. They go to the gun range. Kane tries to help him with his shooting. And I'm like, look at Kane being a big brother. And listen, Kane is a slime ball, so I know he's up to something. I'm like, he gotta be up to something. We see Zeke goes over to tell teacher that listen, we can't do this no more. Look at Zeke putting the family first, man. And I was like, yeah, good job for you, Zeke. Finally, stop thinking with your D and you thinking about your future, man. Cause that old broad ain't nothing but trouble for real, for real. But you could tell he hurt by it. Uh, right as he's leaving, we see the cop sitting in the joint, the car looking at him. I'm like, this dude is a creep, dude. Like, bro, stop. Then he goes over and then he presses her about it, and he tells her pretty much gets her to tell her that Zeke was there. That's what he wanted from the get go. He's like, yo, if I find out, I'm gonna get you disbarred and I'm gonna get him expelled or some shit like that. So I'm like, you hating ass nigga. So he's gonna wind up dying, I think. That's the only thing I can think of. We see Monet and Drew have a heart to heart about Kane, about kind of just letting him back in the fold. At the same time, we see the same car pull up playing You Can Stand the Rain. And Monet goes to look out the window and it's the car, but it's not the person she thought it was. So she like, who the hell is that? We see Tariq goes in the office to talk to the teacher and see, try to get some. He went in there for a diversion. I forget exactly. He's talking about his sister, and was telling her about what happened. Right as he says that, Tate's character walks in and um, he wants to see her about something. He acts like it's super urgent, and it was about the police being in his classroom. I'm like, dude, what are you like? Seriously? That's what she's like. Yo, this couldn't wait. Like, this was what it was. She was like, I'm talking to a student. And Tyreek figures it's the perfect diversion for him because he like, yo, I'm gonna put this phone in here and they can link back to her since she already in the crosshairs. So I'm like, oh, they about to do her dirty. Tyreek is a little smart motherfucker, so he winds up doing that. We see Monet. It's actually Monet's anniversary with her husband. And they're in the conjugal visit earlier. You see Mary J. Blige in her lingerie. Mary J. Blige has always looked like she just fed up with shit. Like, I ain't got time for this shit. And she telling old boy, like, pretty much I'm not happy. You know, when I got married, I didn't think this what it was going to be. And he like, listen, man, this is tough on me. And later in the episode, old boy was asking about Kane's dad. And he was like, yo, pretty much my dad got life. And we thinking it because he want to know, but really we all know what it was. He was trying to get to Monet. He trying to get back to that booty. But she pretty much kicked him out, telling him it wasn't nothing. We see Monet go to see Kane. And it was funny when she was like, damn, you got everybody coming to my house. And she like, yo, take a walk. She was like, nah, it's cold out there. And Monet just pull out a stack. Like, she like, oh, okay. See ya. She pretty much asked Kane if she could trust him, and he said, "Yeah, they good." And he already lying through his fucking teeth, fucking lying ass bitch. I don't like Kane, man. Kane is a slime ball. I mean, I like him, but I don't like him. Y'all get what I'm saying? Like, you need somebody like that on your team, but then again, you don't need that. And she's like, "Yo, just get your stuff, come home." I'm like, nigga, he ain't gotta live at home to do business. Would you let that nigga stay somewhere else? But that's how Monet is. She want to have everybody in the house under one roof. Just keep an eye on everything. She controlling. We see Diana goes to see Effie. And listen, they said she was in New Haven or something, 2 hours away. So she drove all the way out there on her own accord just to see. She didn't even know if this girl was home. I'm like, okay. But I thought they was about to do something. I'm looking like, oh, they about to. Okay, no. All right, that's just me. All right, anyway, she wanted Effie to teach her the game though, and Effie like, listen, man, your mom got you on lock, and she like, yo, I want to do what you do. I want to go to school and I want to hustle, and she like, yo, I want you to teach me. So that's gonna be a good little combo they see with them between those two. And then she's asking her if she's smart or not, and then she's just trying to prove that she's smarter than Diana. She's definitely more street smart than Diana, and she might be more book smart to her too, because she was testing her, and she was like, "Listen, you got to think about who will have something to gain by your loss." And she knew right then and there it was Kane. And we see, sure enough, it cuts to Kane. Slime ball ass stole it. And I'm still trying. Listen, post in the comments if y'all seen this. How did he know where the stash was? Maybe because he met Tyreek there, I'm guessing. And maybe Tyreek didn't think he would do nothing like that. But I feel like Tyreek should know better than that. But it's just like, yo, how the fuck did he know where the stash was to replace all that shit? You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it was just the mom's old stat. No, because Tyreek didn't have all that stuff. That had to be Monet's stash. So he probably know where they keep the shit because they didn't switch it up, which they should have. And then he just replaced them. And I'm like, yo, that's fucking retarded. You got your shit in the parking garage. But anyway, he brings it to him, and oh boy, like, listen, I already got enough product on my own. Why you bringing me more product? And he like, yo, I don't want nothing for this. It's just a gift. And he like, yo, did you kill somebody to get it? And he like, nah. And he pretty much like, oh, so you took it from your family and shit. And then he like, yo, who you take it from? And he tell her who his mom is. And old boy already knows who she is, but he's like, oh, so you stole from your family. He's like, no, I didn't steal from her. I just created an opportunity. And I'm like, okay, that's a good way to see it. We see Method Man's character looking at Redman on the mug shot, and Redman look old as hell, dude. He aged so badly. We see him and Sax have a one-on-one, and he's pretty much telling that he think Tariq has something to do with something, and they like, oh, we gonna grease him and blah blah. Just greasy lawyer talk. Tate goes to see old girl about something, and I'm thinking she's about to find a cell phone in the drawer, but she doesn't. But Tate is in there just bitching and complaining about normal shit, just unimportant stuff that's irrelevant to the story of Power. We see it's a big ass bonfire outside, um, or a hazing for Braden, and he's getting it bad too. Um, it's just like a party for everybody else. They're just embarrassing him, kind of like a hazing ordeal. Um, and then we see that Tyree doesn't even put the phone away in the drawer. He doesn't even leave it in the drawer. He just burns it. So I'm like, oh, he didn't even go with the play. So maybe he just figured I could come back on him. I don't know what he decided with that. And I'm like, oh, okay. I like that. That was pretty sweet. We see Lauren at the little get together, and they talking, and then they cut the family. You got Kane and Drew. We got Drew, Monet, and Diana, and she's questioning Drew about pretty much assuming that Kane did what he did, but she's trying to ask him in a roundabout way. Right then and there, we see we see some garbage cans tipped over. So this must have been something dude used to do back then to get Monet to come out the house or come. Then it splits to Tyree and Lauren on the roof, and they're kissing. And soon he about to get the booty again, and she is so pretty too. But right when he about to get the booty again, uh, they kissing and his phone's ringing. I'm like, yo, it's like clockwork. And Diana's calling them and telling them like, listen, you can't trust nobody. You got or make sure you watching where you stash your stuff or some shit. And he goes to talk, and then it threw Lauren off. She like, yo, every time I'm with you, you get distracted because you don't got her full divided attention. Females want you to have their full divided attention. And she like, you know what? I'm leaving. And then she winds up walking off. And Tariq's like, Lauren, you know what I'm saying? And then we see Method Man's character go to the professor's house. And I forgot he used to pop her in the last season, dude. Method Man was all over the place, wasn't he? I could not remember that for the life of me. I'm like, what? Uh, then we see Zeke's at the dorm. He's popping something. And the cop busts in, tells him to come down to the station. And girl film, you better not do nothing to him. I'm like, this dude is such a dude. This cop, this what dudes would do over some vagina. Just act super weird. We see Monique goes to meet my guy. And then we find out that they knew each other, and I'm like, oh, this is great. This was filmed in front of Junior's. If you don't know the historical about Junior's cheesecake, listen, this where P. Diddy sent the band to go pick up. They had to walk from, I think, Manhattan to Brooklyn to go get him some cheesecake, and then they got back. He wasn't even there. I'm like, man, that's crazy. But that was, I like the fact that they filmed in front of the building. I like the imagery. And they listen, he trying to get that old thing back. And I thought they was about to talk about business. But they not even on that type of time. So I was like, oh, she don't even know he the plug. And, so that's what it was. But he was trying to get that old thing back. He found out the Pops was getting out of jail. He said, oh, no. Come to find out they had history. All in all, it was a decent episode. I enjoyed it. We'll see what happens. These beginning episodes are just the plot episodes. They're just trying to warm us up. I'll be doing a predictions video too. I'm gonna start doing that for what I think is gonna happen in the next episode. But listen, post your comments below. Let me know what you think. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Peace.